Here we go.
On the night of January 3rd, Venezuela's capital, Caracas, was attacked by the US military. The Americans bombed several military facilities in and around Caracas, and then sent in choppers to abduct Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro. Maduro and his wife were sleeping at the Fuerte Tiuna military base. A number of senior Venezuelan officials lived there, and the base was among the locations targeted by the American strikes. Then, Delta Force commandos were lowered into the compound, and they proceeded to capture Maduro.
Flooding the streets across Iran for the 14th night in a row. Masses gathering in Tehran, inundating the nation's capital as far as the eye can see. Crowds cheering around this bonfire, dancing around the flames. Chanting "Down with the dictator," blasting the regime over Iran's failing economy and soaring inflation. In this dramatic footage posted on social media, a man with what appears to be a homemade flamethrower sets a motorcyclist on fire. These protesters risking arrest and even death. The government trying to shut them down with a nationwide communications blackout, cutting off the internet, cell service, and phone lines. As the crackdown intensifies, President Trump escalating his warning to the Iranian regime.
Again, I tell the Iranian leaders, you better not start shooting, because we'll start shooting too.
Human rights groups say dozens of protesters have been killed and thousands more arrested. Trump clarifying his threat does not mean U.S. boots on the ground.
We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts.
This morning, Iran responding to those threats, warning that if the U.S. were to strike, the U.S. and Israel would be legitimate targets of the Islamic Republic. This comes just 1 week after the U.S. captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and Trump declared the U.S. is running the country.
Minneapolis. The Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent. Take a look at this video. It is one angle. It shows the moment of the shooting. The police chief says it happened when the woman was approached by federal law enforcement because her car was blocking a road. You see what happens here. They say she was not a target of law enforcement.
Spilling into a fifth day. Demonstrations from New York to Los Angeles. And in Minneapolis today, ICE and Customs and Border Protection agents ramping up their operations, clashing with protesters. Demonstrators surrounding officers. Agents deploying what appears to be pepper spray. Before smashing through the front door of this home, leading a man out in cuffs. Agents transporting detainees to this federal building.
In a growing standoff outside this federal building in Minneapolis, federal agents on one side, dozens of demonstrators on the other, all calling for ICE to go home.
Today, Secretary Kristi Noem saying they're sending hundreds of more agents to the city and doubling down on her initial claim that ICE agent Jonathan Ross acted in self-defense when he shot Renee Good last week. That assessment made just hours after the shooting and before the investigation even began.
The vehicle was weaponized and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself and he defended those individuals around him. That is the definition. When there is something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism.
Noem's response only fueling more frustration. Lawmakers calling for transparency in the FBI's investigation.
How can we trust the federal government to do an objective, unbiased investigation without prejudice, when at the beginning of that investigation, they have already announced exactly what they
The state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous. The unprecedented thing is the idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute...
твою мать!
Giving people in Greenland to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland. And we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, you know, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
You're in private property. You're in private property.
Get out of here.
Get out. You're going to get arrested.
Down here.
You're going to get arrested for trespassing. Get
Speak English, bro. You are safe, bro.
Citizens. Back up.
Out of Los Angeles, we have this from a Fox News reporter, Matt Seedorf, saying breaking a U-Haul truck drove into a pro-Iranian demonstration outside a federal building in Westwood. Los Angeles police are on the scene. The number of injuries is unknown. And this is some video from the scene there where a Free Iran protest was happening, and a live look at that protest right now. Still a large crowd gathered there. Again, we are hearing from Fox 11 Los Angeles reporter Matt Seedorf that a U-Haul truck drove into that crowd of pro-Iranian demonstrators outside of a federal building in Westwood. LAPD on the scene there, and we still don't know how many injuries are